Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Tech Talk on smart buildings and the importance of Division 25 and commissioning. My name is Sherry Adams, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. Please note that throughout the Tech Talk, all phone lines will be muted. This will minimize any background noise or feedback that could distract from the presentation. We'll be using the Q&A function, so when you have a question, please submit it through the Q&A, and we will gather these questions throughout the Tech Talk, and we'll leave time at the end for Q&A. If your question is related to a particular slide, please put that number on along with your question. A PDF of these slides from this presentation will be sent out electronically after this presentation to everybody that had attended. And we will be recording this Tech Talk, and it will be made available on our website under the resource section. Today's presenters are Marcus Meyer and Timothy Howe. Marcus is the Director of Commissioning and Energy Services U.S. West Region for Stantec. He provides leadership in the coordination of all mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and renewable MEPR, building envelope enclosure commissioning, and energy services. Tim has spent the last 15 years leading the commissioning of building systems, including envelope, HVAC, tab, plumbing, and fire protection for higher education, commercial office, science and technology, dormitories, assembly, and correctional facilities for new construction and renovation projects. So welcome, Marcus and Tim.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Okay, let's get started here. Let's see. There we go. All right, so quick agenda here, talking points. So we're going to speak about sort of the rise of smart buildings, the integration of Division 25, which is a CSI master spec division, and how to integrate commissioning into this to really tie everything together and provide the potential for the future of energy savings, which is through smart buildings. So there are some nice pictures of us for you guys to have afterwards. So summary here. Marcus, why don't you go ahead?
So obviously, whenever we start talking about smart buildings, we start talking about the Internet of Things, IoT. The increased computational power, obviously what we're doing, every building we work on is in essentially a smart building, pieces of it. Once we start putting it all together and we truly start having this, we can obtain this smart building, that's when we all, as commissioning and engineers or architects, we come together with all the different pieces. We're really focusing on today of smart and Division 25 and how all those pieces get integrated. And you'll see later how we talk about how Division 25 is like the glue that holds it together. And if you haven't heard of Division 25, you'll want to listen to this one and you'll start to pay attention to it more in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, do you?
Sure. So learning objectives today, obviously, is to understand the scope of the CSI master format and how Division 25 specifications are defined. Pretty high level stuff here, but we want to use it as a teaser to start getting the industry to start using this for basically all automation. We're going to identify some of the benefits of commissioning for smart buildings, and then understand how the industry direction is for BMS, BAS, and really sort of breaking those silos of each sort of discipline level, designing and bring it together into a unified system that will have the right architecture and design for smart buildings. So here's a little teaser for you guys. So we wrote an article, Marcus I and Jared Pickett from Stantec, for consulting specifying engineer. So that should be coming out in September 2021. And so it's similar to this, but in more detail, obviously. One of the major things that we came across when writing this is that the amount of change and growth in BAS market is incredible, along with creating all these smart components, the Internet of Things. So it's really coming. It's coming fast for us, and so look for this article coming up hopefully next month. So everybody's used to this. These are the siloed building control systems. You have your building automation system. It's going to control your HVAC. It's going to control maybe your service hot water. It's going to have an energy meter or two in there. And it's going to have your weather station, you know, the normal type of things that it's pulling from. And it's these type of systems, similar like the lighting control, which is going to be your daylight responsive controls, maybe a time of day control system, obviously a photocell that's connected to the exterior lights. And then you have power systems. So your generator, again, energy meter for electrical energy. And then you have maybe an ancillary system of security, which looks at access control and CCTV. And, you know, these are all separate divisions and separate disciplines in a sense. And these are all reactive. They're looking at the response of the building from a looking back and seeing what has happened and how to respond to that. So why are we focusing on this in smart buildings? Well, clearly we are reaching the end of our ability to really make a leap in technology and create a new way to transfer energy within building systems. It's kind of amazing. The vapor compression cycle was developed by Oliver Evans in 1805, and we still use it today. So the thermodynamics that we've used and understood is still being used. So what do we need to do? And clearly it's this next leap into smart buildings and just showing a simple graphical representation of what happens to a building over time. If you have a smart building, you're going to keep generating energy savings through the AI and OT technologies that are built into the server stacks that generate this a view of what's happening and how to react to it rather than looking backwards. And then the other side of it is commissioning. And without commissioning, you're going to have this drift, right? You're going to have these systems start to go out of calibration, out of alignment, and you're going to start generating more energy usage. And so this is where we're looking to with smart buildings is an integrated system, and it's going to pull all the parts and pieces within the different building systems that you find: HVAC, lighting, generator, access control, escalators and elevators, all these different things. And it's going to use that data. So it's gathering the data and using it in a useful manner. And with artificial intelligence, go ahead, Marcus, you're going to say something.
I was going to say something too. I'm sure a lot of people on this call, obviously for the commissioning, but you also hear digital twins. Digital twins is out there now everywhere, and literally creating a digital twin of the building. So there's a lot of different platforms that they're trying to do. And I'm sure a lot of folks here in commissioning have been brought on the buildings. They're like, so can we commission the smart building systems? And you'll notice there's a lot more scope sometimes, or it's not talked about, or it's brought in later because they want to do all this. And then we're trying to go in, that's a lot more stuff to do. And you'll start to say, how does it all connect? How the controls. And we're going to keep on going into controls more as we go through this.
Yeah, it becomes this much greater thing, and it's the upside of it is higher energy savings and better operation of a building. And really with smart buildings, you're looking at a proactive approach to the management of energy and operation of a building. And so, they're going to have server stacks that are provided by a wide range of vendors, and what they're going to do is they're going to grab the data, they're going to analyze it, they're going to use a lot of different types of artificial intelligence. There's a wide range of things that can be done, whether it's fuzzy logic, machine learning, all those different things to be able to better understand how a building is operating and then create better efficiency out of that. And it's going to give you the analytics that you want to see, a visualization, and it's going to allow you as a operator to better understand how your building is operating, and rather than it being sort of this reactive service call aspect of, oh, now we realize that the outside air damper has been locked open for the last 3 years and we've wasted all that energy. It's going to identify those type of things ahead of time. So there's an article that came out in April of 2021 here that has a lot of good information around the machine and AI that is occurring. But this is just a quote from there, and just sort of setting that, we are all networked now. All these devices are network connected, and the importance of creating a solid network system within a building early on in the construction and throughout the construction phases and into turnover is very important, because these type of things need to be validated ahead of time. And that's one of the things that we may not look at as much in commissioning, but the network access and creating a solid network is very important as we look towards more virtual commissioning, which can be happening. So what is CSI Division 25? We've said the name of quite a few times, and it's a integrated automation specification. What it does is it builds all the parts and pieces together of all the different building systems, and it goes from the nuts and bolts of the systems that you're going to have to create, all the way up to how the AI systems and the server stack, as I refer to it, will operate for the lifespan of a building. And it's a shared, platform that you're going to be using. It sets up how you're going to validate and gather data and how it's reported. And it creates some resiliency within the building that you're not looking and having several different partners within the construction team saying, it's not my job to coordinate this, and which is always a challenge, right? So looking at this, what does Division 25 look like here? So I snipped a picture of some of the different parts and pieces of Division 25, and you can see, common work results of integrated automation. So you're looking at, what does the conductors look like? What does the cable tray look like? Identification of systems. And then it starts to build up into, more of the, what we would think is the parts of the control system. And one of the specifications that they provide is commissioning of the integrated automation. And you can write a great specification, but if it's not commissioned, it's not going to be operating properly. Division 25 is really, as we have written up there, is the glue that brings everything together within this. So we have a question here, in a sense, why are we not using Division 25 on every project? And, there's also the issue. Why are we keep getting the same issues over and over again as commissioning agents? And not that we're trying to build ourselves out of a job, but why do these type of things happen again and again? And it really starts with the beginning and the design, and obviously, looking at these parts and pieces and bringing it together and bringing the different disciplines to the table is very important.
Well, that's why a lot of times with commissioning folks, the true benefit, of course, there's benefits of craziness of commissioning, but you've seen it. You've seen where it fails. Of course, we're not going to give means and methods, but we're going to give recommendations and solutions. And, when something comes up, you're like, and we keep on seeing where the failures are. We're like the grim reapers of buildings, right? So it's just like, always bring this up, always state this, that's what our job is to do, is be the owner's rep, advocate, to state these points, to say, we recommend this, we've seen this happen before. And most of the time, the owners is like, this is what lessons learned I've had, this is the failures I've had. And most of the failures always come down to controls.
Correct. And bringing this to the forefront with Division 25 is important for the commissioning industry to show what can be done with that, and to provide the large portfolio clients with, hey, this is something that we can use. And there are some higher ed clients that have been using this type of division for a long period of time, and they have a very robust and efficient set of portfolio of buildings because of it. All right. So yeah, so the it comes down to the other parts and pieces of systems, and it's not just looking at, again, integrated automation. No, this is not just a mechanical spec. This needs to be written and developed by a controls engineer, a commissioning agent, somebody that has knowledge of a wide range of building systems, and how to integrate that together. And it's sort of a up and coming, at least from a building side, discipline is looking more at controls and how to integrate that, rather than being a performance spec that just says, here's your sequence of operations, make it happen. And I think that's what is important, is to create and help drive more cohesiveness within design phases of projects as commissioning agents. All right, go ahead, Marcus.
I was just going to say, everybody's seen this chart. Everybody knows when you have the ability where you're designing, where you stop designing, where construction starts happening, where you have your early approach, your design build, your IPDs, your CMARs, where our little sweet spots is, how we go through. And we all know if you go by that point, it's going to cost you 3 times as much to do it. But interesting thing that a lot of people never talk about is what are we trying to do with the building? We're literally trying to have the skin from the outside and the mechanical devices on the inside. They're supposed to be reacting to each other, right? That's the design intent. But then we get so into this building, everybody gets so crazy, and then through the building, then that's why it says project fatigue, because then everyone's like, did we do it? Did we do it? Did we do it? Are we getting there? And then by the time it gets to the end, they're like, but the intent was to make sure that these are interactive. But do you ever notice all of us can say, I don't know a project that got turned over where it was ready to go from day one. It's usually maybe a year later, burn in, we figure out how we're making it work. We have a problem when commissioning basically takes that long after the time it's been turned over to actually have the building working. And owners are getting frustrated with that. So we have to come up with ways to be able to say, we're going to turn it over, or we're going to start earlier, or you're going to give us more money with controls, or you're going to get more money early on. But we have a big problem here with interactive systems really working until later when they get dialed in, but it's a frustrating point.
And that comes back to the digital twin aspect, and obviously that's not a option for every single project, but making it scalable, that you could do it with smaller projects, and really these bullet points here are showing the aspect of not evaluating both the building controls and the building envelope, and what can happen with not dealing with the building envelope early on, and understanding that it is going to have an interactive approach to or reaction for the building systems. And so all the different pieces and interfaces that you have in a building, and making sure that those details and the shop drawings match. Every time the gap is left, you're going to add, like, a building will work. It's amazingly, buildings will work completely and set up in an unfunctional approach. I've seen a chiller not be, I came in after a project, and a chiller that had multiple compressors had the first compressor as an on-off compressor, and it survived 10 years. Then the compressor started leaking oil and broke down. So these things that's the problem, is you don't see these things that are impacting the overall lifespan and life cycle cost of a building. So again, why are we start out with good ambitions in his design phase, but the commissioning agent, really should be there, obviously in an advisory role, but pushing these interactive connections and making it not just a pass-fail type of review of documents, and saying, okay, well, that's good enough. We need to add a little bit more to it. Go ahead, Mark.
This is always just a wonderful chart. This is one of the Stantec people created this, and I sort of stole it one day and tweaked it. and then you guys can all see it. But it's just always about how you look at things: identify, define, measure, analyze, improve. And each one will go to the next one. And you'll always be able to, it's like one step forward, two steps back. We got to always basically, every step we take, what will be the iterative practice? What will be the next part? What will be the process? Like right there, it's all about process, integrated responsibilities of the teams. Identify, define, measure, analyze, improve. That's what we're always trying to do, right? Was it designed? Was it, planned, designed, installed, operated, maintained? I mean, that's, guideline 0. We're all here to help make sure this process keeps going. And the smarter the building gets, the more we have to be part of this whole system. And the next slide is good. It'll show you this.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll say, go ahead.
I was just going to say, he'll jump on here too. It's like this, and go back and forth. Smart building. Well, I'll identify this here. It's Stantec. We sort of, me and a couple other guys created this here. So you see it where, because you're always like, you have the BIS, you have the building system, you have data platforms. Not every building is going to have this huge amount of data, but large universities do, or large, healthcare do. And you always have point to point, right? Well, a long time ago, point to point to point, meaning that from here to here, we can flip it on, we can see it, right? But what happens with that data? What happens to that data that goes back? And everybody knows this in commissioning. You'll do this one, and then some group will want to make sure that this one's taken care of. But guess what? We didn't put that in our scope. Didn't think about it early. Like, you got to put it in there. You got to be paid for it. The people on the inside of the institution has to actually know what's going on. You have to work with them from day one. And a lot of times that big amount of data that's supposed to go back to them doesn't get commissioned. And what happens? It just sits there, and then building after building after building, in essence, doesn't collect, doesn't work, and it doesn't perform. So the smart building continuous learning has to start from day one.
Yeah, and I think the important part here is as commissioning providers is we need to start. We know the parts and pieces of buildings. We know how a pipe needs to be soldered and how to start up a chiller, those type of things. Those are the base products that we create and we provide input on. But with a smart building, there's a lot more there. And like Marcus said, there's a lot of data, even on a small building, that can be captured. And making sure that you're working with the owner and the design team to validate what you're going to use as, frequency of, like it's like trending, right? Obviously. And what's the frequency? What's the, how long are you going to hold this data for? All those different parts and pieces. And so, when you're out there in the field and you're working on these type of projects, you find these scope gaps, and how to find them and provide feedback to the owner is very important. And without those being filled, go ahead, Marcus.
This just happened literally on a project where we had a tab, we had this, we had that, and then they're going, well, how far back we trend? They're like, a week. And it was like, 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago. And then these are the kind of things commissioning folks, we have to know what's going on from day one. Ask these questions. What kind of mesh system? What kind of VPN? What kind of firewall? I don't mean on the 24th hour. I mean like the first day, to figure out, because it's going to take everybody. How long does it take everybody to get O&Ms here? You know what I mean? Like months upon months upon months. We have to preempt it early. We have to think about all the places where it will fail so early, and then keep beating them on this, because this will come up to haunt us.
Okay. Go ahead, Mark.
Same thing with this one. Maybe not all of us, or some of us worked on the BSLs or hospitals or mission critical facilities. You ever notice they're like, it must work from day on one because it's mission critical, because there's a lot of money. But do you ever notice that why don't we take this approach on every building? It's always the cost, right? But don't you think that cost would have been burned into everybody's skull at this point, that you actually should be doing this? Like, this should be one of the most important pieces, but it's not. And that's what this conversation is really about, is the why. Why not? How come before, remember, why not commissioning? Now it's like we're getting more and more commissioning, but why can't we get the right pieces in? And why can't they say it's valid and it's not going to be value engineered out? We have to convince them. We are the experts, convincing them as their trusted partners what we should do. And it's a big one. Once again, the why questions, these are just common issues. Design, supplier. We should have a shirt, walk in the first day and it says commissioning. Who? Right? It's just, it's a blame game after a while, and it shouldn't be like that, because we are on the same team. We're all trying to get across the finish line together. We're all trying to be helpful together. And we know that issues will happen, but if you actually can preempt the issues early and start with the first day, you can start to knock them off. Life gets a lot easier. Go ahead, Tim.
All right. So again, and we do a lot of this work on a daily basis, but really starting with the beginning and understanding and reviewing and assisting the team to get the proper OPR and BOD with a integrated automation approach in there. And it doesn't have to be the full spec, but from day one, if they're looking and they said, yep, RFP says we want a smart building, that's what we're going to get. You got to start right there and say, okay, what are your building systems and how are we going to integrate these all into one product? And you get to the submittal phase, and a lot of it is copy paste and here you go. But reviewing and verifying that it is going to provide you with what you need. And again, basic work product, but really this is the time that you have to save a smart building is in the first two sort of steps here. Because once you get to the construction phase, it's all over, right? It's all, the cost is spent, or the budget is spent, the cost is set, and you now are just in a reactionary phase, right? So you're looking and you're making sure that everything's installed correctly. So you're observing and witnessing. And then go ahead.
I was just going to say, everybody on this call has seen this before. Everything about commissioning you've seen. There is nothing about commissioning that is new in the last 30 years. I mean, nothing. We all would agree on that. But why is it that we every project keeps on repeating the same problems incorrectly, and then we accepted it. What, correctly? How does that work? You say that incorrectly, and then all of a sudden we make it work? I wish that was designed correctly. It was submitted correctly. It was installed correctly. And that's why they hired us to actually try to take maybe that, little N off and maybe make it correct. But as commissioning professionals, you have to spend the time early. The problem is sometimes we don't get the coin to spend the time earlier. But honestly, if you don't take care of it in the beginning, you will live with these problems for perpetuity.
Yeah, and the control system is always a challenge with it being yes, there's physical products that are created, but at the end of the construction phase, and you're turning it to the acceptance phase, it sits on a computer, and it's sort of a hidden product. And there's a lot of stuff there, and it's not out of maliciousness, but out of sheer time constraints that a lot of stuff and shortcuts are taken. And then, once you get to, you're past the acceptance phase and you're in the operation phase, the project burnout, like we said, occurs, and you say, all right, that's fine. It's okay. We'll just close, and you got an owner that's closing issues left and right. And, this is clearly the challenge that we have on a daily basis. And, we're here as, speaking to a industry group that, yes, we are validating what you're dealing with. And we need to be, even if we get into a project just in the early construction phase, go back and look at those drawings and look at the whatever they've created for the OPR and BOD and rectify it then. Because like Marcus said, we are the ones that are fighting the fires, and there's no time to go back and make it better. But really with accepting deficiencies, and again, there's things that you have to just accept, right? There's financial limitations, time limitations, there's all sorts of different things, but we really need to push back as an industry to not just accept things to make them go away, right? And the biggest part here is if they're looking for a smart building and they're looking for an EUI target, and they're looking to show that they're creating energy savings and decarbonizing, and all of these things that are becoming a major pursuit for both public and private entities, if you start to degrade what you're finding in the field and allow it to happen, you're chopping off savings that you can get from the starting point. So if it didn't meet the specifications, all right, you've already lost a piece of that. And some of this needs to be provided at the time as commissioning agents to go to the owner and say, hey, this could be the cause of this. Let's see, hang on, we got a Q&A here. Oh, okay, Matt, let me, this is an interesting question. A hot topic 10 to 15 years ago was the role of system architecture to be shepherded through the project through the system integration you were talking about here. This all fizzled out and went nowhere. Why do you think that is? Sorry, sometimes it's hard for me to read. Probably the same answer as what you're getting here today. They weren't commissioning smart buildings today.
Well, how about this? How many times have we basically been told that we have to value analyze, we have to value engineer something out, and later we have $3 million left over and they have to spend it on the building, so they buy really, really nice chairs. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where what can you take out and what can you not? I mean, this really comes down to, I mean, Matt, I don't know, it's always value engineered. I mean, until the day that people say, you know what, how about this? You turn over this beautiful $300 million building and it's the most beautiful building you've ever seen, and people say it sucks. Why? The IT didn't work, the AV didn't work, I felt hot, I couldn't get my internet, God forbid, you know what I mean? So it's just like, then they're gonna say, I don't like the building and I don't wanna be there. But the building is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life, except that the last few things that are controllable didn't work. So it's happening way too often.
Matt, I think this is sort of a cycle we see with both energy savings and building performance technologies. Is you're going to have a cycle. We had a lot of energy conservation pushes throughout the industry right after, let's say, 2008, when we had a major financial crisis in the US, and everybody said, all right, well, it's time to start saving energy. And that's a way that we can add value to our organization. And then we had natural gas prices that became very ideal for not trying to save energy. It was cheap. And so everybody sort of pushed away from that. So I think you're going to see a cycle of these things, and hopefully the cycle continues to go upwards in its movement and not just stable in a flat sort of pattern. I think that it's also that we've spent, as an industry, we've really, at least from the design side, we've pushed performance-based specifications for commissioning, or excuse me, for controls. And we really don't, as an industry, at least from a consultant standpoint, understand controls as well as we could. And so that's why we just lean on that. So I think that it's important for us to really, as an industry, to continue to educate both consultants and owners with both commissioning and smart buildings and the controls that go along with it, and integrated automation. Okay, sorry here.
Yeah, we got 10 more slides to go through quickly here. Let's see.
All right, so this is just talking again to the continuous improvement process model that we want as commissioning agents to pay it forward. So it's very important to look again at the what we're doing with our knowledge that we gain as commissioning agents. We see a lot more projects than a consultant may see on a day-to-day basis, and paying that forward to the industry is very important. And so, yeah, this is sort of our mantra within Stantec. All right, go ahead, Marcus. I'm going to look at this question.
These are all simple stuff. Yeah. So this is all simple stuff. Once again, we all know this: owner, AE, contractor. We sit in the middle, obviously, as the second set of eyes, the voice of the owner. We all know this, but when it comes to smart buildings, Division 25 or controls, like, you have to, if you see it, say it, scream it. Like, your job is to scream this. I don't care if it's like 50,000 times, keep on screaming it. If you don't get something that should have been taken care of, let's say control submittals within 75 to 90% of the drawings. We all know it. I mean, I'm literally like half a year later and I still don't have them on a job that's going up. Not just one job, like how many jobs, but keep on saying it until they get it to us, because by the time they push it off, we get behind. And then what are we going to do? Ask for more money? I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like, I scream it and scream it and scream it. It's just like, I want ice cream. You know what I mean? So next slide. Same with this one here. This is standard, you know, ASHRAE. We fill the gaps in. This is just the most common thing. That's what we do. We are gap fillers, flip switchers, whatever you want to call us, quality assurance, QA, QC. That word commissioning, you know, literally means like, you know, the process of improvement. I mean, every time I teach this to students, they're like, what does it mean? I'm like, just, all right, throw out commissioning checklists and just put in construction checklist, punch list. It's the same thing. You're literally going through it, but not at the end, but in the beginning, the middle, and the end. So it's just we fill the gaps, and that's what our job is: for coordination, lost details, change orders, scheduling, teamwork, interactive, communication, verification, documentation.
Okay. So I'm gonna so Tom asked a question. He said, what is the difference in driving commissioning through Division 25 versus the traditional route in Division 23? And which trade owns Division 25? And maybe I'm going to take a leap here and say that you were sort of asking about the actual integrated automation and within Division 25. And so, yes, it is a multi trade and discipline specification. It needs to be coordinated within the design team and the construction team. The difference with this is typically you have a single provider of both the control devices along with the what I refer to as the server stack, the AI and the technologies that will do the smart building analysis and generate the proactive aspects of a building. So, you know, there's several different manufacturers of controls out there that do this. You may have seen one of our graphics there was a Tritium, a Niagara graphic that I removed the manufacturer's name off so that we wouldn't be talking about them, but here I am. So it's really that it becomes a single sort of discipline, and it's like controls, right? You're going to have the person that owns this from a contract standpoint in construction, subbing out to electrical contractors to do the electrical work. We see that all the time with controls contractors. They're not doing the electrical work, and so it's going to bring it to a single trade within construction that will then have its own subs, if that makes sense. So it does unite that in a integrated process.
And at the same time, I've seen Division 25s that can be 1 page, that can be 3, that can be 12, that one can be 77. It all depends on how far they want to go and how far, when you say C related 22, 23, 26. And those are just this for this. These are relating those all together and how you're justifying each step of the way. And I love it when there's a Division 25. And then when there's not, I ask about it. And like, so the next question is how much extra cost does Division 25 bring to the job? It's a valid question. I mean, and if you've been doing this for a while as an engineer of record, or, you know, or other people, you should have been doing this. You should have known this there. But if someone's like, oh no, it's just, you know, that's not a good answer. You should be able to work with the team to hopefully get it within the constraints of the budget, because if not, I always wonder how they get chosen to begin with if they don't know that this was expected and they got chosen.
I got 2 questions here. One is that Kaiser Permanente is driving for the commissioning community to own Division 25. I think that's a challenge, but you know, what I'm seeing is yeah, that's probably a good next step for commissioning is to take on more and to grab it and run with it, because right now commissioning is a lot of reactive, right? We're reacting to what's going on. And I think that commissioning and energy savings is getting closer and closer together. And we're going to have to be, proactive and start to drive design teams and have the, that you have the right to say the things that you need to say to push them. That's what the owner wants. That's why you're there. All right, then we have a question from Doug. Please discuss the first cost savings from integration of all controls through Division 25 approach. I would say that probably it's the intangible aspects of the coordination costs that are included in every contractor's pricing to coordinate with other divisions or other trades. You may find some cost benefit from going with a single, let's say, controls vendor, whereas you're not pulling from a group of different manufacturers to do the same thing. But you may end up doing that anyways and having, communicators that need to be specified for a wide range of
and truly defining what is open protocol, what is open, everything is BACnet, but, really look into the different types of systems or components for different companies and what really is open and what is not. Obviously, we're just going through the simple benefits, the owner, the occupants. This was just a standard commissioning, what is, but all these things, when you say, get what they paid for, fewer headaches, building it in the OPR. Literally, this should be one of the most important parts is the controls, the smart buildings, the Div 25. It should be added to every point of this. And as we move forward, it's that important. But
yeah, to go back to that question, it is, with owning it, there is, the owner, you're an owner's rep in a sense, right? You're a third party that reports directly to the owner. And, sometimes you can irritate the team by maybe digging in and not, I've seen that before with some of our fellow commissioning providers. Maybe I do it myself, but the empowerment of this and having a discipline a division that can be taken over by commissioning is very important, and will help drive the change in the industry that it's needed. The monitoring based commissioning is the first step that we're seeing with the USGBC providing that as sort of a change in their measurement and verification credit, right? They know that this type of savings or this type of systems product is really going to change and provide energy savings. So I think the challenge is for us to reach out and say, how can I take on more? Obviously, scope, fee, all those things play into this. Just going to take a second here and look at.
I didn't see the
question that I didn't answer.
Also, too, it's monitoring based commissioning, also analytics. Well, FDD, all these things. It doesn't matter which one it is. They're all very important. In the past, it was like, oh, let's monitor the utilities. Now it's like, let's monitor the systems. Okay, let's be a leech on top of their BIS. But we're all, running into the whole firewalls. It's real time, but it's not real time. At the end of the day, I'll never forget a contrast me one day. He goes, so how do you feel working your way out of a job? And I said, as long as there's humans building things, I go, there will be jobs. And the more sophisticated the computers get, the more sophisticated that we have to get. And it leads right into this one when it comes to our added value. People always ask, should warranty start at substantial completion or when commissioning completed? I would say when it's completed. But at the same time, we got to start early then and get it done, and then why isn't Division 25 required on every project? We're getting there.
Yes, we are. All right, I apologize.
Self-driving buildings. Yeah, they're built by humans. Also, one of the things, I always joke with people and say, but I don't. It's like, the goal is to get it right, not just done. Like, just always think about that. Everyone's going to push you to get your TCO, your C of O. They're going to push you. Well, you know what? I would rather be right any day of the year than just to get it done, especially with life, safety, money, reputation. So be it. And this, I love this one. It's always like The past is deferred maintenance. The present is basically the daily, are all firefighters, and the future is analytics. It's all preventative, proactive approach. Just like good old Buck said down there, the best way to predict the future is to design it. Start with the end in mind.
All right, I got a great comment. Tesla and others are working on the self-driving car. We're now working on self-driving buildings. Yeah, and obviously we're here as again, we love to say the glue that holds it together, right? And to make sure that the self-driving building can actually work. Let's see.
We're almost done.
All
That's thank you. And the next one is big question. Boom. Can we open it up, Sherry, to questions?
Yeah.
You know, instead of like writing them, just fire away.
So yeah, so thank you, Marcus and Tim. We really appreciate your time and expertise. And looks like a lot of people ask questions throughout, but we have a couple minutes if there are a few more questions that if there's any questions that you'd like to ask, please do so now. And just to give you a quick announcement, just as a reminder, this year's annual conference will be a hybrid event on October 6th, 7th, and 8th in Toronto, Canada, and registration is open. So please visit the website for more details and the agenda and some other activities that are coming up. So
Yeah, I think.
go ahead.
No, I think this is important that we take this and run with this because, again, the energy savings is not going to be changing from a technology standpoint, maybe a little bit here and there with the different, you know, devices that we can create more and more energy savings out of, but really it's now about the operation of the building, which we always knew was the biggest problem. So I don't know. Let's see. We got a Q&A here. Or is this one that I still haven't? Okay. I'm gonna take that one, get rid of it because I've looked at it twice. All right.
So if there isn't anything else, if you are open to, if something comes up after the fact, sometimes I get emails from attendees that might have a question. I could forward that to you if you're open to that. But I think we don't have any other questions at this time. So thank you again, Marcus and Tim, we really appreciate it. And on behalf of the BCA, I'd like to thank everyone for your participation today. Have a great time, great day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.